Shots fired. Yeah. We just got like a loaded pistol in these episodes today. So now we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Back here with another Yatta Debates, episode 19.
Dang, we're almost at 20. What are we gonna do for Deuce?
I don't know. We gotta take that back to the shop and really consider what we're gonna talk about that one. But here on Yatta Debates, we would like to give a special RIP to John Whiterspoon.
Yes.
That just recently passed.
Pops.
And if you guys are looking at the title of our video today, you can obviously tell, what John Whiterspoon, like, we grew up on a lot of his, like, greatest and well-known work,
Yeah.
So, and I would say, like, my personal favorite from him is Boondocks. Boondocks. I was like a big Boondock. Damn it, boy. So, rest in peace to him, may his soul rest. We lost a great one today. So,
we really did.
But, with that being said, we are moving on to our topic, and today is Millennials ruin everything, or the issues that we face. And I really kind of thought of this topic upon seeing like these articles saying like, oh, millennials do this and they're the reason that the economy is down and they don't spend as much money and they're not in the home ownership and all this kind of like nonsense. And let's get this straight, as far as the millennial age bracket goes, is from what I'm seeing is anywhere from the early 80s to the mid 90s. So anywhere from like 1980 to 96 or 97. So if you were born anytime in that year, you are a millennial, and this relates to you. And these issues, when we bring them to the table, should be relevant to you. So
I feel like a millennial, I feel like we were in that little age group of like where it was like the transition between like, people going out being people to the technology age we're at now. Like we've seen everything evolve, like cell phones, like beepers,
video game systems, TVs, like.
So it's like we watch like everything like if we were in this era, like especially people who were born in the 80s. Like I know y'all probably feel like fossils or something.
Yo, for real.
That is like insane. Y'all got to see like the big cell phones. Y'all remember when computers were like $1,000-something and all that stuff like that. Hey,
what's going on, y'all?
So
I remember like back in the day, because like we was like when the computer came out, like my dad had one, like that shit like blew my mind. But it had like this game. It was like you had to like build a house, and it was like orange, and it was just like I was like so excited over that. I'm just looking, it's just like
my favorite game was what's that? The mind game.
Mind Sweet.
Yeah, that was my game.
To this day, nobody knows how to play that game.
I know how to play that game. I'm good at it. I'm a master. Okay?
On expert level.
I can play on expert
level.
Okay, like I'll be blowing up. Like I'm good at Mind Sweet because that's all we could do. We ain't have internet. Only one computer in my house back in the day had the internet. It was in my brother's room, and if he was in his room, we couldn't use the internet, so we had to use our regular computer with no internet. So I used to play that, or they used to have pinball, like 3D pinball.
Yo, it used to be fire them little games you got like out the cereal box. It was like, I remember, what cereal was it? I thought it was like a Captain Crunch cereal or something.
The Oregon Trail. Oh my God, you really old.
But which one? Like I used to be like so hyped on it. But you're right. Like growing up in that era, like we seen like the transition from us like being out being on our bikes and stuff like that.
And you would know where everybody was at if you knew where all the bikes was at. Like you knew whose house everybody was at. If all the bikes was in their yard, that's whose house y'all was at. Y'all would have like race. I remember we used to play tag, all this stuff like that. Oh my God, we used to be outside. Kids these days, all they want to do is go and play Roblox and Minecraft. Pinball was the truth.
Yeah, like going to even going like down
to arcades. And stuff
or
like
that. the arcade machines like in the corner stores. Like that was like it was like a big thing. And I would say like I think we've seen like this kind of this transformative thing, like where. Like growing up, it seems like things were like a little bit more prosperous. Like people had like more money, you know what I mean, to spend on like leisurely activities. Like, cause I remember like my parents like always taking me out and like doing shit like that. Like we used to always go out to eat. We used to like, go to different festivals and amusement parks and stuff like that. And like nowadays, this is like, well, I gotta kind of see what my money looking like, So it's just like, and that kind of happened, like, once we got into like the teenage years, and it didn't really affect us then, but now it's to the point where like we kind of like looking back on that, and like those things are kind of like affecting us, and we just like, well, damn, how come we can't really do like as much as we did when we were younger? Like, you know what I mean?
I think it's all about perspective, because if you ask my kids, they'll tell you they do everything. They go out and like, yeah, we go to the water park, we do this, that, and the third thing. Mom got all this money, and no, I don't. I'm broke. broke. It hurts every time.
So with that, what's some of the struggles that we face, like as far as like, quote unquote being broke, like what's the difference like in the financial?
We gotta think about the inflation of the prices and things in the market now versus then. Like back then, a lot of things were cheaper. A lot of the prices were cheaper. Like think about the cost of milk today versus the cost of milk back then. The cost of anything back then versus the cost of it now.
Living in an apartment, like
even living in an apartment, there were people who would tell me like the same apartments that people live in like in New York, they used to be like $500-$600. Those apartments are going anywhere upwards from $2,000 to $3,000 nowadays, and it's just really just inflation in the economy. Because once when we had that like recession, everything just like all the prices and things changed. So that changed for us too. And also think about the cost of college now versus back when our parents went to school and their parents went to school. It was way cheaper. Like loans. I'm gonna have my contact list like that. Loans and stuff. Yeah. Like they really get y'all with college loans. Say I don't got no college loans. So I don't owe nobody.
I'm currently. I'm kind of like if you won't pay mine back, I might be going.
No, they're gonna come for you.
I'm gonna see
they gonna give a check no matter what.
I'm gonna see how this new this 2020 come on when he talking about like wiping the slate clean. So I'm gonna take care of everything else, and I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna hope and pray that they think. But like you said, like just in a short time span, like from being from like 9 and 10 years old till it's like, okay, yeah, it's $600 for a 3-bedroom apartment to now it's like anywhere from $1,500 to $1,800, and 15 is on a low scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, $1,500 for a 3-bedroom. You living somewhere in the middle of the hood where they shooting.
Yeah,
crackhead gonna come ask you for some money late at night.
18 to 2,000, you in a pretty nice like neighborhood, but that's $2,000.
But that's up here though. That's one thing I noticed. That's up here in like. Here towards like New York City,
this tri-state area,
and then also in like really like popular states like Miami, California, Oregon, like anywhere where there's like really like city life and the outskirts of cities. That's where expensive apartments are, because certain parts of the United States you can't get a like 3-bedroom apartment for like $900.
Mississippi, Alabama. I don't really think, and that's the thing that we see. It's just like, all right, yeah, when we do like, all right, let's say we like pack up and move ourselves and say like, all right, yeah, I'm moving to Mississippi. It ain't like shit to do down there. Like my uncle lives down in Mississippi, and my dad went down to visit. He's like, yo, the next house is like 6 miles away.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just like in between that, it's just like.
And then also think about when you live in those places, like the rent will be cheap, but then everything else will be higher. So grocery prices may be higher, gas prices may be higher. So we have to think about like the economy in all these certain places. So it's like everything's changed since we were kids. Like I feel like, back then they did have a lot more to spend because houses were cheaper then. But then also you got to think about they also got duped into a lot of like those inflated
subprime loans, adjustable rates.
Those crazy mortgages, and a lot of people lost their homes and things like that. So now a lot of banks sit on a lot of properties that they don't want. So like it's kind of like we're stuck like with the aftermath of like our parents' bad decisions. But it's like we gotta undo all that.
I'm not gonna say our parents, but like the previous generation. You know what I mean? Making these kind of like
the boomers. Now I always have to blame the millennials for stuff.
So why do we catch that right? Because they was just like, well, you guys don't spend as much money on luxury items.
We can't. We're broke. We can't. If you don't go to college, you're not getting a job if you don't have experience that's going to pay you over $12 an hour. And that's just the truth of the matter. If you don't have any experience in the workforce, if you haven't been working for some years, you're not getting a job that's paying over $12 an hour. And then on top of that, majority of us people of color sometimes have records, or we'll have like stuff on our background where we can't work a certain. Me too. Sponge now.
I'm following that statistic.
But majority of us either have records or stuff that binds from getting like really good jobs like that where we can afford to live. And then the cost of living is expensive. If you have to be making at least $20-something an hour to afford to live and eat in New Jersey. Like, because if you're making anywhere like $12-14 an hour and you're trying to live, you either have a house or you're gonna have some food, which ain't gonna have both.
And let's put this like in a perspective like this. When you say you living and you surviving and you basically like doing what you need to do, you need to allot for it. You need to be able to pay for all your necessary expenses, still have money for leisurely, and still have money to save for you to actually say that you make enough money. Yep. And if you can't do like all three of those things, if you can't do your needs, wants, and then savings,
you're basically in a low income bracket. That's what you're.
And this is one thing that surprised me. I won't say it surprised me, but it's just like they kind of like basically downgraded what they assume to be like middle class. So they would say like, okay, if you make this amount of money, like let's say like 10 years ago, it might have been considered like, lower middle class. They actually like extended that bar of middle class where it was like anywhere from like 25,000 to like 65 to 70,000 or something like that. Anything above like 70,000 is just like upper class. You're starting to get up
now
in
with
there.
that knowledge, I know that I am in the middle class. I'm gonna start acting bougie and my verses on me on Sunday.
But the thing is, it's just like, so like even with that statistic, it's like, do we feel those effects? And the reason that they also put that statistic out there is because like the rise in homelessness. Yes. So it's just like, well, it's just like more people are homeless, and so if you make this amount of money, well, you're a lot better off. Well, realistically,
no, we're not.
Yeah.
Because think about it, people who make over a certain amount of money, like, all right, if you make under a certain amount of money and you have a certain amount of people in your household, you're eligible for certain grants, benefits, and things from like subsidies from the government, where that helps those people stay afloat. So like you can get like food assistance, daycare assistance, and things like that. But if you make over that or cap that, you don't get that assistance. So people who are really in like the lower or actual middle class, they struggle worse than like people who are actually poor, because poor people have more advantage with getting more help with things. Like they have access to like food stamps, they have access to like different welfare programs, things like that. Whereas people in the middle class, they get told like, oh, you make too much to get this and that and third thing, like you can't get food stamps. So now you got to pick one paycheck. All right, damn, I got to pay all these bills. I'm gonna just get bread and some cheese and stuff like that this week. And then the next week you got to get groceries, or you got to buy in bulk, or you got to like find different alternatives in order to stretch your supply. And it's like crazy, because back in the day, I felt like our parents used to splurge on groceries. Like we just had all types
you want
of stuff,
tips, you want this, like, and I think that like that's one of the things that we don't really talk about. It's just like kind of like the part of the financial pressures that we deal with, and that kind of like puts like an emotional toll on it. Because anybody know, like you, if your pocket's hurting, you're going through a bad time. You know what I mean? Like you just like, I don't know. It's just like a sense of like,
especially if you're unemployed during this time. Oh my God, it feels like the world is ending.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's just like, even if you're not like doing like, if you're not doing anything immediately, just the fact that you know that you got like money in your pocket, it's just like, all right, yeah, I feel good. You know what I mean? But it's just like when we got like a situation right now where we have like so many people living like paycheck to paycheck, that's like a stressful thing. You know what I mean?
You know, a lot of people are ashamed to say they live paycheck to paycheck, but majority of us, we really do. We do. We ain't rich. I ain't seen not one person yet rich. If you don't own your own home and your car and all that stuff like that, and still have money in a bank account, savings account, and all that, you are not rich. And making upwards of $70,000 to $80,000, you are not rich. Just because you rent stuff and flash things and things that hold no value does not make you rich. And then also, money doesn't make you rich either. Your personality and soul does, but that's a different story for another day.
But we talking about like our general issue, but yeah. So, and like one thing that we also do face is just that like I don't know if the qualification of the degree got like higher or lower. And I'm gonna tell you this, the reason why is because a couple of years ago when my mom was like working in the state, you can go into the state basically like just for like right out of high school, and be in a position where you're already making like $30,000 and go up the ladder with no degree.
Yeah, that's how my mom did it.
And go up the scale up into that bracket where we're talking about like 70, 80, 90,000. Now you can't even step foot into certain state offices without a minimum of a bachelor's degree, and even still, you got to be from like in either a very accredited university, or you have to have your master's degree. You know what I mean? And this is something that somebody was telling. It was just like, do those degrees hold more weight than they do, or is it more about relationships? Because we see people, and I've heard like personal experience where these people might not necessarily be the most credible, but because they know X, Y, and Z, they can move up the ladder a little bit more. Yeah.
I always feel like it's who you know, not what you know, because there are some people who are extremely intelligent and they get nowhere in life, where there are some people who they just know the right people and they get really far in life, and they get the right connections into the right things, like, or the right jobs and things like that. Like there's certain jobs where you have to know somebody to get into it, to be in that job. Like And that's just the way it goes. Like, you can't just go in there and be like, "Hi, I'm really extremely qualified for this position.
Yeah.
I'd like to work here." They look at you like, "Nah, my cousin Aunt over here. I'm about to give him this job here." Like,
and I'll say that even from my personal experience, like being hired for the position that I just got, it was just that, like, when I was interviewed, like, I knew the person that was interviewing me, so it's just like, oh, this is you. So like, it's something that's like actually like worked in my favor. And like, and I don't like really have like my degree, but I'm pretty sure that it was people that came after me with better credentials that was just like, well, we're going to pick him because we know how he works and we like his methods, so we're going to pick him over you, and your qualifications is out the door. One thing that is also that we also don't talk about is just like the amount of people that have degrees. So it's just like the market is like way more competitive. So it's just like when you look at a bachelor's degree, it's like, oh, well, everybody got a bachelor's.
Yeah, everybody got
so what you really going to bring to this company is like, well,
and then also you got to think about it. A lot of these jobs, they'll tell you they want a bachelor's degree, but then if you have no experience in that job, they're going to give you the minimum at the job.
Yeah.
Minimum pay, minimum whatever.
Data entry.
Yep.
Mail clerk.
Yep.
So
if you don't have any experience in the workforce and you have a degree and think you're going to go in there making some big money, I got some news for you, baby. So they ain't doing it.
So let me ask you, why do you think that we are catching like a lot of the blame of this? Is it because, and again, this is one of the articles
that they say pushing told to like go to school, get your education, go to college, go
get a good job,
do this and that. Go to college first. They did, because a lot of the time, what our parents and parents before us didn't tell us was they went to work first. Mm-hmm. They were working from when they were like 12. I think that's why they instilled the child labor laws and all those things like that, because they were working. And then if they chose that route of going to school, they went to school. But they were working. They had experience in certain jobs. Like, I feel like you should have experience in different types of jobs, in customer service, retail, like, be like because that's how you really sell yourself. Like, there are people out there who don't have degrees who probably will get picked over people with degrees because of their experience in certain jobs versus you having your degree. Like, and it's just crazy like how that works too, in a sense.
And this is something that like I was really kind of like thinking about, and this is something that like, because I took up education and like my major, and it was like one of like my theories. It was like one thing that I was saying, it was just like, once a student graduates from high school, I don't think they should immediately go off to college. I think they should spend either a year and a half to 2 years in the workforce, because this is also something that I think consistently from going into college right out of high school. I've seen so many people change their majors within the first year, right after the first semester. They was like, I don't want to do this. And then again, in the next semester, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. So it's just like, we kind of like, I don't know. I don't really think we, like, at that age, we really got a full grasp of what we want to do, because we haven't entered the workforce. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't really explored different paths, or like really like, because it's like we just got out of school and it's just like, oh, well, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? It's like, it's
not like we're in kindergarten where we're like, yeah, I want to be a firefighter now. Like, no, you can't just do that. Like,
and at that point, if you're saying like, well, I want to be a firefighter, well, you shouldn't. I don't think, like the college route.
But then they push college on you guys, and then don't even. I said you guys. They push college on us, the millennials.
You're part of this bracket too.
I'm a part of this bracket too. But then they forget to mention that a lot of the times those degrees, like we said, don't hold weight. They don't tell y'all that trades make more money, like trade schools. Graduates make more money with their trade. You can be your own boss when you work with your own trade. You can open your own business with your own trade and things like that. So they don't push trades on you because they want y'all to be a slave to these loan systems too. And then we also got to think about back then in the 90s and 80s and 70s and 60s. A lot of these people have been in these positions in their jobs for years. Like, you'll meet somebody, like, say you start working somewhere, you'll be like, hey, how long you been here? They'll be like, I've been at this job for 20 years. I'll be like, 20 years? I don't even want to work here for another 2 weeks. Like, if we just quit, we just up and go. Like, but they were taught, like, once you get a job, like, that's it, you got to stay at this job. Like, you got to exceed until they fire you or you retire, and that's it. Like, when I was working at the hospital, there were people, and I was working in the kitchen. There were people who worked in that kitchen for 30 plus years. 30 plus. I was not working in that kitchen for 2 years. It was done and wrapped. It was over, done. I don't care how much money you could pay me. I was not doing it. We get up every day going into a kitchen where people are all different types of personalities. And I don't know, people who work in like kitchens, waiters, so I applaud y'all, because me working in that kitchen, I'll tell you,
I can never.
It was about to be some balls sometimes in there. Like, this, oh God.
Well, I could tell you, and this is I went for an interview at one job, and they was telling me it was just like, well, again saying millennials like, well, they don't really believe in job loyalty. And we're like, well, we don't feel like these jobs are loyal to us.
They're not.
Yeah, it's like a turnstile. It's just like they can just get people, but it just seems like the people that actually do like put into the work, it's just like they don't necessarily like just like climb up the ladder like they think like you think they should. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Like.
Oh, and then also they think we don't think about loyalty at jobs, but think about it. All right, I watched at a job. I'm not going to name no names. I watched at a job that they had employees who were making money, like they were there for years, and in order for them to fit into their budget of how they wanted to pay their employees, they fired those employees who were making those good, laid them off, like eliminated those positions, so to speak, and then they would hire 2 other people for the price of that one person making less. So that's how they were able to do that. But then they're talking about they want us to be loyal to these jobs, and these jobs ain't loyal to us.
Yeah, when you do shit like that, it's just like I don't know. But then again, we get the brunt of it. Like, well, you guys just don't you have no loyalty to the company, and you don't think about the
because just like, we actually want to explore and see what we actually want to do. Like,
yeah, I don't think, and I think this is like a general consensus. I don't think we really like being stagnant. Like, I don't think we like being in one place for too long because we see how much there is like to offer. So it's just like, well, if I'm here, then you got to be offering me something. Like, I'll tell you like this. I feel like if I see that a job is like continuously progressing me and progressing its employees, then I will be more inclined to stay there. But if I see like they more agendas more to just like keep me stagnant, it's like, all right, why would I want to stay here? Like.
And then also when you're interviewing for a job, what a lot of us millennials do, we ask a lot about turnaround too, because you have to definitely ask about that when you go to a job interview, because if there's a job with a lot of turnaround, that means that upper management doesn't do their part, or there may be a lack in the upper management and the worker relationship there. So you just have to think about like all those things when you go into these jobs. And that's why they think like millennials are like, they think we're like entitled brats who don't want to do anything. But no, really in reality, we were brought into the system and we have to find our way, navigate our way through it. Like there's still people who are buying homes. It's just at a slower rate than when they were. Houses were like 97 cents back in the day. So now we have to really like save our money and do that. And then on top of that, they're not handing out those home loans like they were before, because after the recession, they're trying to like really like prevent another one from happening. Again, banks don't want to get stuck with those houses again. Yeah. So they're taking extra precautions. They make you do all these things before you close on a home. Like a lot of people don't even know. Like they think, oh, if I save up $10,000, I can buy a house. You have to incorporate your closing costs, your lawyer fees, inspection costs, all these different things that they don't teach us about us millennials, because our parents may seem like you just go and save your money and just go buy a house and that's it.
Yeah, when I thought about like all right, from the outside looking in, anybody's just like, all right, yeah, good credit score, down payment, boom, I'm good.
So much more to it.
Inspections, all that.
Everything. And if your house doesn't pass inspection, then you have to either have the seller do it, put it up to date, or you have to go back onto the market and then relook at the house, and you lose out on whatever money you spent on the inspection and all. So you have to really consider these things, and a lot of people don't consider that, and they don't tell us these things because they think, oh, this information isn't pertinent to them. They'll learn this in life. They learn in life. Like, don't even teach us about how really to do these taxes. We just sit here and we just be like, all right, yeah. If you go up to someone in our age bracket right now, born from 1980 to 1997, and ask them, how do you fill out properly a W-2, a W-4, or an I-9 form, they're going to look at you and be like, I just follow whatever the paper tells me to do. Like, no, because then they're going to take out all these different types of taxes out your check that really you didn't really need out your check. And I spoke about this last week, where they take out all this extra money out your check that you don't need, where you need to learn how to properly fill out those forms. Like, it's a whole different thing. But as millennials, we can definitely turn this around, because Generation X and Y, like those kids, they're born out the womb like with all this knowledge. Like we had to learn how to use the computers, the internet. We learned how to use Facebook coding. We have to learn how to use MySpace, all those things like that. Like these kids are born and they can work an iPad. Like you'd be surprised a 9-month-old baby could work a phone. Like
it did always like kind of
blow and stuff like that.
It did always kind of blow my mind, because I'm thinking like, oh yeah, this is just coming from my age group. Like, oh yeah, this is such an advanced piece of technology, and then they just like 3 and 4 years old, like, oh no, I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, like we had to ask my daughter how to unlock the TV, like. And she's 7. Like, come on now, that's bad. Like,
it's like that meme where you got the channel. It's just like my grandparents
watching. Like my grandparents, like when they switching from HDMI 1 to HDMI
3. But
It's just like, you know, we are kind of like we're playing the catch up and helping build up our kids to get them right for this. Like it's kind of like we're preparing them.
Yeah, we gotta kind of like take what like we say
what we
like,
were given, like you know, the ashes that we were given,
and let them know like
this
that there's more options. Like I think like how you were saying like like it was like a one step formula for us. Like go to school, go to college, get a job, and that was like presented to like everybody in our age group. Where
they would come to the schools and like be like, you got to go to college, you got to go to a good school in order for you to
either that or go to the army.
Go to the army, and it's like I'm not going to the army. I'm blowing my legs off, and I'm not going to nobody's college because I'm not paying no loans, and I'm not going to be in debt for the rest of my life. Nope. So I'd rather work it out and do that. And like even now, like me being, you know, I'm 27 and I went to college for about 2-3 months, and I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. It's not the way that I want to go about it. I feel like I learned my best through my own learning system, and then also that if I do want to get into something like that, I'll learn a trade that I could profit off of and use my trade and profit and make my own money my own way, where I don't have somebody telling me what to do, because I like
tarot readings.
Yep, I do my tarot business, and that's that. Like you have to figure out like, you want to stay in a job that you hate for the rest of your life for like 30-40 years and then retire and then still have to work because if you didn't save any money, if you haven't been following the news, their Social Security has been running out. I don't know what they're using it for, but by the time we get to that age group, we're not going to have any Social Security benefits. So it's like, you're going to have to work another job until you die. So I mean, why even do that?
We see that now. Like, I remember like seeing some people in there like 70, you know, 70
you see
plus
people, the Walmart
working,
greeters,
like,
and people that work at ShopRite.
Yeah, like, yo, bro, like, you need to be at the diner right now. Like, and that's another thing that we face is people like in these higher up positions that are making all this money, and they just refuse to retire because they don't feel secure living with what they have in their savings, or as far as pension and retirement. It was just like, so it's just like it's just like we kind of caught in the bind. And one thing, this is something that I'm like pretty flabbergasted at, right? So it's just like now today we have more millionaires and billionaires than we ever had like in any previous generation. So what is the issue with like just increasing our wages? Is it simply just greed?
It is. We live in a capitalist country. Everything's about making money, making a dollar, and it's like if we were all millionaires, they wouldn't make no money off of us.
Because you got to figure, 10 years ago there was nobody with like $100 billion. Like there was like nobody, you know. So like we
found ways, and that's one thing that I do applaud us millennials, and you know the people born in between that times.
Millennials rock.
Because we found different ways to stream revenue from their conventional ways of like, oh, just go to work, go to school. People make money off Instagram. People make money offline. They don't have to go through the different routes that they used to have to take. Like you used to really have to hire like a marketing team to really like get like your business off the ground. Like you have to go around, put billboards out, go put ads on the radio, go pay for ads for TV commercials. You just go on Facebook, post an ad, pay like $3, $4 a day or something like that. Boom, everybody see your stuff. Yeah, that's it. You're done. Or make posts and say, hey, everybody share this.
Forex trading. And I heard about that. You got to give us some more detail on that, because I've been hearing a lot about Forex trading. So I'm interested. So please, like, feel free, if you see this episode, it's Hello Yatta, send me a DM. It's because
definitely you can make so much money. Like we have such this, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like we have options. We have more options than they did back then to make more money. Like think about all these artists that come out now. When the MySpace age hit, that's how a lot of artists blew up, because they were able to use MySpace before all these copyright infringement laws came. Were able to use that platform to like market their music. So like if you put like this unnamed artist on your page, everybody be like, damn, who that? Like, you know, and then they go play their song. Now, boom, now you got them. And then, you know, they regulated iMeme and SoundCloud.
I used to love iMeme too, because I used to find like
all these songs on there.
It was SoundCloud before SoundCloud.
Yes,
you know what I mean? It was dope.
Like iMeme had every song on there, like every song, even all the Jersey Club songs that wasn't released, they had every song on there. R.I.P. iMeme. That was.
I'm surprised you knew about that one.
No, iMeme had all my music on there. I'm not playing. Like my playlist on there was deep. Like I used to put. Oh my gosh. iMeme. But yeah, like. We had a lot of things, like a lot of people come up from that. Like that's when the socialite status really started coming into play. Because, you know, you had celebrities, but they were like famous for actual talents, like things they actually did. Whereas you had like social media make people famous just for being themselves. Like the Kardashians and all of them really made it easier for us regular people to become famous just off of just being ourselves and doing regular everyday things. Like you could travel, hey baby. You could travel and post pictures, and now you're a travel person, you're a travel blogger, and you know people pay you to take pictures of like clouds and sands and beaches and stuff like that. Or you know, if you do makeup, now you're a makeup you're a YouTube makeup artist. You can, you know, have high-end makeup companies sponsor you and pay you for your video stream. Like YouTube was one of the biggest platforms to really blow up, and that's one thing that a lot of people blew up on was just like making videos, like things that we do on a day-to-day basis. People were making it. Things like I see people go on YouTube now and be playing with dolls and be making up little scenarios and stuff like that. I'm thinking like, damn, me and my old friend could have been billionaires right now because all the games of Barbies we used to play and we used to not record it and put it up. Like,
well, with this, is there like a dark side to it? Because this was like you know we see the advantages, but like obviously we getting blamed for something, and like you know, and a big thing is just like
because we're not the money that we make off of these things is not going into their pockets. It's going directly to us. It's coming directly to us. So it's like if we're not putting it back out into their economy, it's like damn, like.
Yeah, that's one thing they said. That was just like you can't really trust the government to like kind of regulate the economy because they've been fucking it up for so long. You know what I mean? It's just like I wouldn't take any kind of money advice from any government official. I'm like, y'all been fucking up the money since I don't know how long. So.
Right. Like, how are we $30 trillion in debt? Like, y'all can't tell us about nothing. Like, no, y'all need to hit up them debt consolidation people that be coming up on the commercials all the time instead of telling us to do it. But you know, we just got to think about like we have found different markets of how to make money without the government regulating it, and they don't like that. That's why they try to catch us in all these different loans. Think about it. Think about all these loans that you get presented to you by the time you're 30. All right, so when you get out of high school,
please tell me. Hold on. Tell me where they are, because I don't get any of these offer letters. I don't get no offer letters. When you get out of high school,
they hit you with the college loans, right? They say, oh, we're going to give you a grant for school. And then, you know, they give you a grant for like $5,000. I'm like, you got to take out a loan for X, Y, Z. A semester in college could be anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000, you know? So now you got to take out a loan for each semester. So there you go. Now you owe Shelly Mae. Boom. Then they're like, oh, you need a credit card to last in college. So now all these different credit card companies come to you like, yeah, you can get a $500 credit card, you know, You max that out. Now you're in debt. Now you have credit card debt. Then they're like, you need a car. You need a car to get to these jobs. In order for you to get to these jobs. All right, so now you get a car loan. Boom. But they don't tell you your APR is like 27%. And you're paying double what the car is actually worth. So now you're sitting there like, damn, now what am I going to do? I'm paying a car loan for 5 years for a car that's probably not even going to be worth this by the time it's done. Then, after all of that, you have to buy a home loan. You got to get a house. You can't not get a house. So then you get your home loan, and then now you got a house, a car, you're struggling to pay all these bills and debts. You have to pay back your student loans. You got to pay your car loans. You got to get car insurance. You got to do all these things. So you're like, damn, I need some money. So then here comes all these commercials talking about why don't you get a payday loan? We'll give you $500 to your payday.
I would never.
Then they get you like that. That's how they get you. Like they get it. They get you in different ways. So they try to find different ways to get you with some type of thing. Like CNN just came up on my phone about something the government did again. So, you know.
And I'll tell you like this. It was one thing in assets versus liabilities. Yes. But this is what I'm going to say. This is stuff that we should have been told when we were 18. These, even like you were saying, not even in such like a complicated manner, but even in a broad sense, these numbers should have been presented to us. And they should have said basically, you want to take this out. When you done, this is how much you owe. This is what APR means. This means that this car might be worth this much, but since you paying it in this amount of time, this how much you gonna pay. I think that's part of the problem. Like, I don't think we really got like even the most basic grasp of it at that age.
Jewelry isn't a liability because jewelry holds their value. It just depends on what type of jewelry it is. But yeah, cars and clothes definitely are liabilities. But assets, they always maintain or increase in value. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that if you own a home versus renting an apartment is a liability. Anything that you are putting your money into and it's not going to maintain its value or make more money for you, it's a liability. Mm-hmm. It ain't worth it. Like you don't need it. If you can't buy your car straight off the lot and pay and just leave and do that, or have your credit where you are not paying that much for it, you're paying the right amount for the car in the right amount of time, you're wasting your money. You're wasting money. You're giving money to someone else that you're giving your money out. You're just giving out free money, basically, kind of. Like I seen this ad on my Instagram and I shared it, and it was so funny to me. It was like for an MCM bag, and the bag was like, I think it was like $700, and it was like, or you can pay 8 payments of I think it was like
$9.99.
No, I think like 8 payments of like $111 a month, and I'm like, why would I pay $888 for a $700 bag? Like, but where does that make sense?
But this is the thing. That's where they get people, because like when you tell somebody it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be $700 up front. If I tell you like, oh yeah, I got this for you, but you gotta pay $700 for me right now, as opposed to saying somebody like, look, just give me $100 right now, and I'll let you have it, and just give me $100 each month until I say it's cool. But and again, it's just like I'm saying, like that. I think that was part of like the biggest problem. Is like that stuff wasn't explained to us. Like the numbers weren't really like presented to us. Like, this is what this means. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, I want to go to school, sign right here. Yeah, I want a car, sign right here. And then credit cards, sign right here.
And then you sit there and you look back and you're like, why did I do that?
See, I'm gonna stay away from cryptocurrency. I don't know. I'm still like,
I don't know anything about it, so I can't really have an opinion on it. I just know that I have to first get access to the dark web. So if anybody has that access, please send it to me in my DMs secretly on the low.
It's just my issue, like with the cryptocurrency right now. I'm gonna say it's just like it kind of seems like a quick flip in a sense, and that's because it isn't regulated. So
rich people put their money in offshore accounts, and I'm just gonna put that out there, okay? They put their money in offshore accounts. So if we need to stop putting our money in these bank accounts that take out money unfairly out of our accounts. Like, how are you going to tell me that because I have $5 in my bank account on the first of the month, you're going to charge me $35 for being broke? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, see, I don't get hit with that because I still have the same college.
I didn't get that college fund account.
So I got my PNC commission-free, fee-free account, so I can have no minimum balance.
Nope. So if I don't deposit at least $500 a month, my bank is charging me for that, and that makes me so sick to my stomach. I like, at this point, sometimes I think about taking all my money out of my bank account and just putting it in like a pillowcase and like
no, don't do that again. And I'm gonna put a disclosure out there for that. And because I use these, find you one of those high interest yields, high APY savings accounts, and you can go on any one of them, and I will post them on the link. You have Wealthfront, you have Ally Bank, Barclays. I don't know if Charles Schwab has adjusted theirs. M1 Finance, even with the stash that I use, fallback funds that are paying 2.17 per year. And just to give you a scope, your regular bank only pays you like 0.01.
Yep.
So just to give you like a kind of like a mind. So let's just say for like every $100 that you deposit, you'll probably get like what?
Now they have banks. They have banks, but their banks have different regulations. Like, you gotta think about it. China's a communist country, so a lot of the things that they are taught there, we don't do that here. Like we don't do that here. Like they don't even have the same internet access as us. We talked about this last week. Like they don't do that. Like,
and like and again, with,
like a lot of people in different countries, they look at us, what they consider the Western world, like. Mm-hmm. Things that we do are very unconventional to them. Like a lot of the stuff that we do makes absolutely no sense to them. Like our healthcare system makes no sense to them because majority of these first world countries do have the united like healthcare system.
Capitalism.
Yeah, they want to make the money, but then think about doctors want to make the money. They want to make their money, all that stuff like that. Everybody wants to make their money, and they don't want everybody to be the same. Nobody wants to be the same.
She's a communist.
I am a communist. They're going to kidnap me. So if you don't see me on any future episodes of the Yatta Debates, just know the government took me.
But I'm going to say like that, like my issue with like the cryptocurrency right now is just like, because there's no regulation, it's really just determined all by the people. And let's just say like, I have like all this money in the crypto, right? And I say, well, I want to take this and I want to put it somewhere else. It's going to like drastically like reduce the amount of like what the crypto is worth, because it's like really just inflated by like people, because there's really no kind of like regulation behind it right now. So it's just like what is given cryptocurrency its value. People just saying it's worth stuff. Like, oh yeah, I'll take it, and they only saying they'll take it because they know it's worth a lot. But when but if everybody says, well, you know, this cryptocurrency is just like, I don't know. And I mean, you can kind of say the same thing with like the U.S. dollar, but it's really backed by debt. Not gold anymore. It's backed by debt.
Yeah,
and credit.
Our dollar is pretty much kind of like worthless in a sense. Like
but
that's why if you haven't noticed, like, all right, think about it. I was thinking about this. Like, I'm a very like
communist.
Yes, and I also am fueled by conspiracy theories. And I was thinking about it. Think about, all right, in the early 2000s, you know, when before all the fall of the economy like really was bad. Think about like you didn't see that much cash for gold spots, and then all of a sudden there was like this boom of like, come on, we'll give you cash for your gold and stuff like that. Like they're trying to get the money back into the economy some way, somehow. Like they always try to trick us to get their money back some way, somehow. Like in any type of shape or form, they always try to get us to get their money back.
Now, are those spots like government issued?
I don't know. I don't even know how they're regulated or anything like that, or how they even determine the price for the amount of gold, like the amount that they give you for the gold you give them. Because there are people that really go there and pawn off like they're really expensive jewelry and they get little next to nothing
because at that point they really don't know what it's worth. And like, to be honest, I don't really even know what the current value of like gold is as far as like using it as a currency exchange. And it bouncing on your conspiracy fact, that's the reason that they killed Gaddafi.
They did.
So but they
killed him. And that's just that, because he was going to get out of the European, I think it's the European thing, and then they were going to start their own African like currency
that was backed strictly by
honestly gold. Anybody who is against anything that has to do with the Rothschild system of the money funding, which us millennials really need to get out of their system, I think we're going to be stuck. We're going to be stuck paying back debt that we really didn't accumulate.
Well, that's kind of like the point of like they say the cryptocurrency is to step away from like the traditional, but it's just like I
don't think it's gonna work like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they're gonna find the government infiltrates anything that we do. So if you ever think that something is not infiltrated by the government, eventually they're going to infiltrate it. That's just how the government works. They just like if we know this knowledge, they've already known this. They've known it. They're not gonna put out stuff that they don't know about unless you secretly have secret meetings about this and they don't know anything about it. You have no government informants there, nothing like that. But otherwise, anything they put out, they've already researched it, assessed it. They've seen the level of threat that it is to the government. And after that, they assess, all right, can we put this out to the public and see if people will react with it? Or can we, are we going to have to, keep this classified until a certain amount of time when people will just look at it and be like, oh, this is hogwash, let's go.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, so moving forward with us being the next generation to basically like step forward, do you see any kind of like, I don't want to say revolution. I feel like that word is like too big for what will happen. But to the point,
I already said that we need to overthrow the government. I said this last week.
But what I'm saying is like when we start seeing people like in our age group, like finally like entering into politics and or they are the new business people, because it's all going to get handed down basically like to this generation. So it's just like, can we expect some kind of like change or like regulation now that we're going to be like our age group is basically going to be?
It depends on who in our age group goes into these things, and that's what we have to be mindful of when we vote for people in these systems. Because if you vote for people who still uphold the same ideals and values that are in the system now, that's just what it's going to be. It's going to be that way until they're out of there. Like Supreme Court justices, they don't get voted out. They have to die or decide that, all right, I don't want to be a justice no more. So think about all these old things that really don't make any sense anymore, that made sense back then because lifespans were shorter and all those things like that. And now we have to really like redesign our government.
And this is part of the thing that I want to talk about. It would be like, so would you be, let's say like for instance, let's take like some of like the people that are in our age bracket. Would you feel comfortable with a Mark Zuckerberg or like the founders of Twitter or founders of Instagram being the ones that will be now setting and enacting new policies for all of us?
No, because they were for those same people that you just listed were for those copyright laws that they were trying to impose on us to take away our freedom of speech, our rights to use certain parts of the internet and things like that. Those were the same people that voted for that to take away those rights. When we went through that whole thing where they were trying to shut down certain parts of the internet and take away, like, that's why we have, when you post music now, you have to put I don't own copyrights and all that stuff like that. That came from an act that they were trying to impose on us to basically be like, nah, we're going to charge you every time you post something that's not yours, every time you post anything that's not yours. Like, basically take away content. Like, you have to actually literally be the content creator in order for you to post this. Otherwise, we're going to charge you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so that's one thing I want y'all to kind of like think about. Is just that, like, you know, moving forward into this next generation, it's just like we kind of got to be mindful of like who we selecting as leaders and representatives, because we need to start looking at what issues resonate with us more specifically, being in this.
And look at them as a politician. Like, this is something that I took away from last week's debate. Look at them as a politician before you start voting for them. Like, what they're for, what they're against, what they vote for, what have they done under their terms, under any like local politics and like state politics. Like, look at those things and really think about how they are as a person. Like, if they mass incarcerate Black people, they vote for like they're against certain things that you believe strongly in, you really should step away from that candidate just because they're popular or whatever.
And that's what I'm saying. Do you see more of that like within our generation? Like I said, with like that's still kind of like
we're a sensationalized generation. Like, and I think we take that from our parents, whereas the kids are not swayed by things like that. They're desensitized to things like that. Because I read an article on Yahoo where it was like this mom, she was reading her son's Facebook page, and he was posting a lot about Hitler and things like that. And like, you know, older generations would be like, oh my God, that is an abomination, posting about Hitler and joking about the Holocaust. And little kids nowadays think that is just like the funniest thing ever. Like, even at Lawrence High School, you know, you had those two Indian boys pee and call some little girl racial slurs and stuff like that. So we have to think about like what we are enacting, what we are instilling in our children and stuff like that too, as well. And then what our politicians represent for us. Because if we're voting for people whose children are doing things like that, who believe in stuff like that, because people swear racism is not alive. When we just were able, women were just able, granted the right to vote 50 something years ago. Like our right to vote is the same age as my mom. Like, that does not make any sense. And y'all telling me racism just automatically just up and died right then and there. So we have to think about who we vote for, who represents us as people, like not just like any people, like you, like who resonates with you, what policies you want to see in place. And don't just go off of like, you know, them telling you, sensationalizing things to you and making all these big grandiose promises and stuff like that. Don't do that. Like, really take your time out and study like what you want for your economy, what you want for your kids, what you want for your school system, what you want for your state, what do you want in your state. Look at all the taxes that New Jersey has. Like, and we voted for this. We did. We voted for all of this. We not showing up to town hall meetings, not showing up to local votes and things like that. You think the only major elections is the elections for the president? No, there are elections
November 5th. For everybody who's watching this, November 5th. Let me ask you this, and this is one thing I want to touch on, because, you know, we've been seeing this again, specifically in our generation, this push for legalization of marijuana and use of hemp for, you know, textiles and other forms of like energy and natural resources. What's the tie with that? Because like they saying like it's consistent.
I have a very conflicted feeling about that, because think about all the people who are locked up right now for weed charges or who are fighting cases for weed charges, and now now white men now realize that weed is profitable. And they're like, wow, we're going to make $1 off this. So those same people who are locking those same people up are the same people that are now saying, oh, you know what, we can make some money off this. Let's open dispensaries. Let's open weed cafes. Let's sell CBD gummies, all this shit like that. But they go to the hood and lock up these weed dealers. So now they found a different way to do it, where now, since if they're going in the direction of legalizing weed, they're going after, all right, say fentanyl is now a problem, where they have like the Narcan stuff and things like that. It's a sickness now, whatever, that in itself. Now, if you sell somebody, not even if you are caught with it, if you sold somebody some bad drugs, some bad fentanyl, some bad heroin, some bad this and that, they're locking you up. Not the person that's doing the drugs, not the person that was caught with the drugs. If they die, you're going to jail for selling them that drug.
I always reflect back to that thing, Chappelle comedy session. It's just like, he was like, I don't think there's like any kind of misunderstanding because like I kind of felt like whites did back in the 80s. When I see these white drug addicts walking around, I was like, I don't care either.
I don't feel bad for y'all. I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for them. I don't care. At the end of the day, y'all thought y'all was running around screaming, crack is whack. Well, guess what? Y'all need to go to jail just like them crackheads did.
Shelly,
do that time.
Shelly, that's
do the mandatory minimum, just like them.
Say,
if you get caught with fentanyl, you're not doing 5 years in prison getting caught with fentanyl. You're getting Narcan and you're going to rehab somewhere in Florida or something like that. When you got caught with crack, you was doing 5 years in prison thanks to Bill Clinton. So no, I'm against that. I don't think that the weed thing, the whole legalization of weed, that's a whole backploy for them to make money off of. So I don't agree with that at all.
So what's going on with this? Because like I'm starting to see like certain people starting to abandon like their cannabis backed projects that they thought was so profitable. And I'll tell you
because if they legalize weed, especially here in New Jersey, or in like the tri-state area, if they legalize weed, think about all those people's records who they're going to have to expunge and reimburse for all those times spent that in jail for weed-related charges.
And specifically in New Jersey, I think that was the issue.
That's why they voted against it. Remember, we had this whole big thing where we were going to get weed legalized for recreational use, but then they thought about it. Think about all the people who are in prison right now for weed charges. Who got caught with like a pound of weed, who got caught with a dime bag, or caught with like an eighth, and they're in jail or prison for it or whatever. You get hit with a manufacturing charge if you get caught with upwards of like, I think like an ounce, something like that. So think about all those people who are in jail for that. And those same people sit around like, I see Billy Ray Cyrus posting his big weed farm, but you have Ray from out in the hood trying to sell an eighth and he's in prison. So I don't agree with it at all. Like they're using it to try to like, it's the whole backstory behind it is different. Like so now, all that, you could have just let the Colombians just bring the weed in and just just set up shop and just sell the weed like that. If y'all was gonna do it like that.
So when we're looking at it, it's not even so much like the actual marijuana. It's just like kind of like the justice.
They're just trying to make profit off of it. They say it's profitable. The only reason why weed was banned in the first place was because they used to say that weed used to make white women want to sleep with black men. That's why they banned it. It was not profitable for them. And they banned weed farmers. Like they were very harsh on weed farmers back in the day. Like this was in the early 1900s. Like they did that. And then that's why weed, alcohol, all those things were banned. And then they slowly started realizing that we can make money off of this stuff. That's why anything that they can think of making money off of, they're going to make the money off of. Like that's just their thing. So that's why alcohol and all that stuff like that, they did the prohibition era, and then they realized that the mobsters were doing like doing like the moonshine and all that stuff like that.
Do you see weed being legalized in our lifetime?
Yeah, I think weed will be legalized here in New Jersey within the next 5 years. I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
I am going to keep my stocks in it because that stock has been tanking, but I will continue to hold on to it.
The only reason why I say that is because there are more states legalizing weed and they are making more profit off of weed. Like look at Colorado. Their economy is thriving off of their weed things. More people go to Colorado to go smoke weed. More people go to Oregon to smoke weed. Like anywhere where weed is legal recreationally and you can go to weed cafes and things like that, they get more tourists. The crime rates drop, and then they find other things.
They have a sign too, like right there on by the Department of Motor Vehicles. It's like a sign saying like the weed maps, and they showing like the statistics of like the crime rate dropping and all of this. So
it's actually an app on your phone, like where you can see like it's called Weed Maps, where you can see like areas. Where you can see areas where weed is legal and like crime rates are lower. There's less people incarcerated, but then they find other things to incarcerate you for. So like I said, the whole fentanyl thing, like and that.
Yeah, when did that? Yeah, because I just like apparently it's been a while for a while, but I just like started hearing about it
because a lot of people. When they started cracking down, like after 9/11, when they started cracking down on like plane and boat travels and exports and imports into the United States, they had to find ways to cut the drugs to make it last. Oh my God, the government's really gonna kidnap me. They had to find ways to cut the drugs to make it last. So fentanyl is like, it's a synthetic drug that, they use in hospitals and things like that for pain relief. So they would cut it with fentanyl and it would make the high stronger and last longer. You guys can learn all this information on Netflix. They have it on Dope and all different drug related documentaries that I watch on there. But yeah, they had to cut it some way somehow. That's how crack came about. They tried to stretch the cocaine because they were
that. It was just like ain't no black scientists in there. Like I'm trying to figure out how I can get high.
Like, you know what? If I put a little baking soda and put it on the stove and make it into a pancake and then decide and cut it up and break it up, it's gonna make.
Nobody was thinking about that.
The CIA plants these drugs. Which, all right, go to the hood right now and ask somebody who got a boat in the hood right now that can go to and from Columbia right now. I'll wait. Who got a plane in the hood right now?
You got a boat? You got a boat? You got a boat?
Where are you getting these guns from if we don't have artillery stores in the hood?
Who was saying that? This was like an interview a couple years ago. They were saying that the Chicago PD was actually like dropping boxes of guns off.
They do that. This is not a lie. They drop weapons and drugs into these neighborhoods, or they'll be like, the CIA will be like, listen, they'll work with big time drug dealers. Like, look, we'll give you this immunity, but you got to put this in the street so we can lock this person up. But then we're gonna make this amount of money off of this. Whenever they get them big drug busts and things like that, where does all those drugs go? Where does all that money go? When they find all those millions of dollars and all those pounds and kilos of drugs, where does it all go? You think that really stays in the evidence lockers? You really think those things stays in the evidence lockers? At
this point, like the whole drug trade and the war on drugs, it's just like one big business.
But we millennials work like we are so caught up in like, you know what, the CIA is doing this. Let's make a documentary about this. Like instead of actually doing something about it, we just make documentaries about it and just be like, all right, well, that's it.
Well, me personally, I don't do any drugs, so I'm good on that. This is going to be.
Yatta is our Dare representative. I swear, if the people from Dare from high school see Yatta now, they'd be so proud. Like Yatta is so against drugs.
This is going to be my quote from now on. I don't fall in that statistic. Yeah, like when we talk about anything, is that's going to be my thing. I do not fall in that particular statistic.
So you know, we as millennials, we have a lot to face. Like as far as like with them trying to legalize marijuana, with them trying to pacify the fentanyl abuse, with them doing a lot of things that we notice now. We don't stand down. And also, as millennials, we are kind of lazy. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. We are. Yes, a little bit. We are, because think about it. Like they always say, oh, our grandparents and forefathers didn't fight for us. No, those people used to get up, protest, do different things when things didn't go their way. We literally have to wait until it's a social media movement for us to really be like, I'm gonna stand up for myself. Do you know how many times I told people, stand up for yourself? Like, stop letting these people walk all over you like that. And they'll be like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to do this. Fuck that job. Like, no, like you need to stand up for yourself, because if you let these people run all over you, you have no backbone, you have no say so. Like people are so afraid to like form like strikes, things like that. Like I always tell people, anytime when they're in a job and you're in a union, that's the best thing you can do. Go on strike against your union. If you don't agree with what your union is doing, gather up all your union pals, because then your union rep is gonna have to fight and negotiate for y'all to get the right thing. I just
seen too on the news that but hold on, and this is the flip side, because this is the scary part, right? So I just saw like on the news that, you know, the teachers are on strike in Chicago, but now, and this is something that we face, is just like like with the overpopulation, they are now getting foreigners to teach these classes. And it was just like, so now like the
well, I also think that's like, a ploy too. Like just like when New York was talking about they was going to give undocumented people their driver's license. I thought that was a trap. I'm not even going to lie to you, because why would you give an undocumented U.S. person who came into the U.S. their driver's license? Why? And then Donald Trump shortly after that enacted where they pick up anybody. Before you used to only get deported if you did a serious crime, whereas now you just get deported if you're undocumented and they catch you.
I don't know, like you said, we deal with like a lot of things, like, you know, even with me working in the classroom, I see like these classrooms are like packed to the teeth.
Oh yeah, baby boomers definitely, like they always are afraid, like, no, I love my job, I don't want to lose my job. Like, Kathy, you've been a secretary for 45 years. Give it up, sis. It's over. Like, go on strike. You need better in your life.
Well, you know what I'm saying? It's just like I see like a big thing with like kind of like overpopulation too, especially like in these areas. Like these classrooms are crowded, and it's just like
that's because they shut down a lot of schools. Think about a lot of all these abandoned schools. I was just driving around Trenton the other day with my brother, and noticed that there are a lot of schools out here that are shut down, like, and abandoned. And why? Like, and there's a lot of kids out here who need that proper education to like thrive in society. Why are all these schools shut down? And you can't say it's not funding, because this is the capital. Y'all should have all the funding for education.
I'll tell you one thing on the flip side is that here is at least like they might be closing, but they do like reopen. Well, it is one thing that's going on like down in Baltimore that they was telling me, like this was even like last year, like they're closing the schools and not even opening them back up. And it's just like it's because like me having like that experience, it is kind of hard for like one person to be accountable for like 27 people. You know what I mean?
That's hard. How is a child going to get the proper education if you're in a classroom of 27 people? A classroom size, the ratio should be at least one teacher to at least 5 to 8 children, at least for a proper education. If you're going to have a classroom of like 20 something, you should at least have 2 teachers or a teacher and a paraprofessional in the classroom in order for each child to get a proper education. Otherwise, there's going to be children in that classroom that's going to fall behind. And especially in New Jersey with the No Child Left Behind, you have kids who like basically fly under the radar for years, and then when it comes time for them to take, well, bye Instagram.
It was on there too long. It was on there way too long.
But then you have people who go like they'll end up in high school and they didn't get the the help that they needed in like elementary school, middle school in order for them to meet those needs. And then they put them in remedial classes or special ed classes. So now this person who probably does not have a disability or a special need or anything like that, they're in these classes, remedial classes, because they didn't get the education that they didn't get the help that they needed. They didn't get, the intervention that they needed at the appropriate time. So now it's too late. So then those people usually end up dropping out of school or other things like that and becoming statistics in those ways. But that doesn't mean that it's always bad for them either. That's
a debate for another day.
Yeah, those people I could end up becoming millionaires sometimes too. So you got to think about it like this. Like a lot of these things that they're doing in turn to us make us find other ways of making our own way.
And that's the plus side of it, because
of being a millennial. We find a way.
Yeah, we really found like ways to like really like make these things. I was gonna say the only thing about the witch model. I was gonna say like that we do have more options and outlets to like make money through like freelancing, using like social media, like with Yatta and like with me doing the podcast and then also music and being really like independent for yourself. That's what we see. We see a lot more independence.
Oh no, my Instagram live got shut down. It was too long. That's why the government didn't shut it down.
But guys, thank you so much for this episode. We are approaching 20 episodes, and as always, if you like,
those some suggestions on what we should do for our 20th episode.
Yeah, we are gonna, and let's show this one. We were actually we'll post that up. We'll post that up for suggestions for the next episode, for the 20th episode. We will start that like probably tomorrow immediately and start getting some feedback for like for our 20 20 episodes.
I can't believe it. Like, oh my gosh. I just remember my first time being on the show. I was like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Like now I'm just on here telling y'all like the government's gonna kidnap me after like the 24th episode.
So, but again, like as always, if you appreciate and liking the show, please drop a like on the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And I have seen some clicks on our Amazon link. So if you are interested in any of the products, you can go down to our links below and we get a small portion of that here on Yatta Debates. So we really appreciate that.
Yep, we do. And then if anybody has a tarot reading scheduled for tonight, as you can see, the episode ran over. So I will be dealing with you guys shortly after, I handle all my stuff. And then if you are interested in getting a reading done, make sure you go visit my page. It's IFShell Visions, and just book a tarot reading with me. I do them through FaceTime. I really don't want to do them in person right now because I don't have a setup. But I do them through FaceTime or like through Facebook Messenger, and then you guys can do it that way. And my prices are listed. Everything's listed on my page. All the information's there. So just make sure you guys just hit me up, get a reading. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
Again, as always, and this is Yatta Debates.
See y'all later.
I don't fall in that statistic.
Oh my God.